The Sun is the nearest and the most vital star to our planet Earth, and we all know the importance of the Sun in our lives. It radiates light and heat or solar energy, which makes it possible for life to exist on Earth. Plants need sunlight to grow. Animals, including humans, need plants for food and the oxygen that they produce. Without heat from the Sun, Earth would literally freeze. There would be no winds, ocean currents, or clouds to transport water. However, there is a matter of concern, as scientists had discovered that there is a reduction in the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth's surface, primarily caused by atmospheric pollution, which is termed as global dimming. Understand the definition of global dimming in a single sentence in this way: it is just the opposite of global warming. Is our planet becoming a darker place? As recorded by an array of hundreds of instruments deployed around the Earth, the period from the late 1950s to the early 1990s witnessed a clear and measurable decline, as much as 5% globally in the amount of sunlight reaching the ground. In some regions, the drop was recorded even steeper. In the United States, for example, sunlight decreased 10% over that period. In Hong Kong, the figure was a shocking 37%, raising a significant concern. Now, let's get to the most important part: what actually causes global dimming. It is felt that worldwide darkening is likely because of the expanded presence of spray particles in Earth's air brought about by contamination, dust, or volcanic eruptions. Volcanoes spew aerosols in the air, and they are taken higher up in the lower part of the atmosphere by strong winds. These aerosols and different particulate matters assimilate and block the sunlight and reflect it back into the space. Then, water droplets in mists in the atmosphere combine around these particles. As the accumulation of all such particles around the mist increases, more sunlight is prevented from reaching onto the Earth. This in turn impacts radiation emanating from the Earth's surface. This is one part of it. Another crucial component involved in the process is the black carbon. The inadequate ignition of non-renewable energy sources like diesel and wood discharges black carbon up high. But the black carbon, the greater part of which is in the form of sediments, is just a tiny part of air contamination at land surface level. This significantly affects the environment at elevations over 2 kilometers. Now, this level of up to 2 kilometers above the Earth's surface might not seem very problematic, but this range is the actual problem. Few studies show that black carbon will increment a dangerous atmospheric deviation, being second just to carbon dioxide in the near future. The studies also conclude that as more and more accumulation is generated, winds will most certainly transport these coalesced particles to different regions, for example the Himalayas. It can likewise obscure Arctic ice and will thus lessen reflectivity. So essentially, the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth's surface would decrease significantly, and that is what the global dimming is all about. Now let's look at the consequences of global dimming. Temperature regulation. Global dimming has been found to counterbalance a significant portion of the warming caused by greenhouse gases. As a result, if the aerosol pollution were to decrease, the full extent of global warming would become apparent, leading to rapid temperature increases. Precipitation patterns. The presence of aerosols affects precipitation patterns, leading to regional imbalances. Some regions experience reduced rainfall due to the cooling effect, while others may witness more intense rainfall events. These changes disrupt ecosystems, affect agriculture, and also impact water resources. Solar energy generation. Global dimming poses challenges to solar energy generation by reducing the amount of sunlight available for photovoltaic cells. This in turn hampers efforts to transition to clean and sustainable energy sources. Air quality and human health. The same aerosols responsible for global dimming contribute to poor air quality and pose significant risk to human health. Particulate matter from pollution can penetrate deep into the respiratory system, leading to respiratory diseases and other health issues. Here are some ways to reduce global dimming. Switching to alternative sources of energy. Many nations that have or had high levels of global dimming can be characterized by the fact that they produce their energy through the burning of fossil fuels. Burning fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases which contribute to global warming. At the same time, these gases also produce aerosols as a byproduct of burning fossil fuels such as coal. These aerosols account for global dimming, and in switching to alternative sources of energy, these will reduce the aerosols and thus global dimming. Controlling wildfires. Wildfires have an adverse effect on the atmosphere by causing regional dimming, even if it is just for some time. Wildfires occur all over the world throughout the year, and minimizing or at least controlling them will reduce global dimming. Switching to nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is a much better alternative to fossil energy as it is free from producing outputs of carbon, yet it produces more electricity than wind and solar power. It is considered to be the best alternative in highly industrialized countries like the USA and China. In China and India, for instance, they are shutting down coal plants and building more nuclear energy plants, which will see them lower their levels of dimming. Although the scientific jury is still out about the effects of nuclear energy as power sources. While global warming remains a critical challenge, global dimming adds another layer of complexity to the Earth's climate system. It is imperative to acknowledge and address this phenomenon to ensure a sustainable and habitable planet for future generations. By reducing aerosol emissions, transitioning to cleaner energy sources, and adopting adaptation strategies, we can mitigate the adverse effects of global dimming while simultaneously combating climate change. Moreover, it is also our duty for our Earth to do all sorts of things that leads to sustainability and avoiding all things that leads to pollution. For example, by following the 3 R's, that is reuse, reduce and recycle, by planting more and more trees via carpooling, using eco-friendly automobiles, avoiding plastics, etc. Because our small steps which we think are insignificant might make great impact.